David Ornstein and say hello. We talked about West Ham's Michail Antonio and his involvement in a serious car accident over the weekend that will have him out today and for the foreseeable future. We read the club statement and updated that way. Is there anything else that you can add to what's happening there?
Well, first thing to say, Paul, is that Michail Antonio is lucky to be alive, and so we should all be thankful for that. You talk about the single vehicle accident that occurred. It's been very high profile because of the images that emerged. A leg fracture, he's undergone surgery, he's convalescing in hospital, and we wish him well in his recovery, which is going to be some time. There are reports that he could be out of football for a year. Some I've spoken to hope it will be a sort of 6-month recovery, but it's a long way back. He's 34 years old. He's out of contract in the summer of 2025. West Ham will assess that at the end of the season, I'm assured. Now, it's the second car crash he's had, and so that's something that may affect his thinking going forward. And also, we're going to see some tributes tonight from West Ham players. They will be wearing warm-up T-shirts with his name and number on the back. We've heard that they'll be auctioning off those shirts and also the match-worn shirts to the NHS and charities who were helping in his rescue, you could say. And also the West Ham board will be matching any money that's raised from that, which is a nice way to treat what is a very serious incident.
Seems like it's not nearly as important, but we segue now to what's happening on the pitch with West Ham. 14th place, moving in the wrong direction here recently. Lopetegui is certainly feeling the pressure of this slide here. How tenuous is his grip on the job right now?
Lopetegui, Paul, is in big trouble. He's fighting to save his job. Now, I spoke on NBC before their last game where we pointed out that the Board of Directors are actively discussing his situation. They're considering all options, and one of those options is to remove him. He obviously had the very disappointing defeat at Leicester City, and off the back of that, those discussions intensified. There was a point where I felt on Thursday that Lopetegui was going to lose his job before the Wolves match. Such was the feeling among sections of the board. And within that, they were looking at potential alternative options. Very high among their thinking is Graham Potter, who of course is out of work. There is a school of thought that says he might be brought in to take the job until the end of the season. Let's see how this situation develops. Nothing is formal just yet. David Moyes has been rumoured to be potentially coming back for a third stint. I'd be surprised if that happened from either West Ham's perspective or from his. But it underlines the work that Lopetegui needs to do to turn this around. We got word from the club that the board are fully aware of the situation. They're studying it, but they wanted him to take the press conference at the end of the week. They wanted him to go into this match. It's fair to say that his tenure is hanging by a thread. Many of the fans have turned against him, and that is not a good sign. He can be scrutinised for recruitment, so can the sporting director Tim Steighton. You only need to look through some of the players signed and the impact they've made so far to have pretty serious reservations about what went on there last summer and the expenditure that came with it. You look at the age profile of the squad, around the 30 mark for a lot of the players. You look at the injury to Nicholas Füllkrug, one of those older players, the absence through a ban of Mohamed Kudus too. You look at reports of a bust-up in the dressing room during half-time of the Arsenal match with Jean-Claire Todibo, another new signing. All of that looks bleak. If he is to lose tonight, I think he is on very thin ice, but he survives for now.
Looking on the other touchline, David, the old adage, misery loves company, comes to mind for me, thinking about Gary O'Neill. What would a third consecutive loss mean for him?
Talking of pressure for Lopetegui, the scrutiny on Gary O'Neill is huge as well. And I mentioned the fans with West Ham. The fans at Wolves are breathing down the neck of Gary O'Neill. We've seen that in recent matches, and that will be being felt acutely by him, but also the hierarchy at Molineux. The club do believe in Gary O'Neill, his ability and his future in the game, irrespective of whether he gets sacked or not. They hold him in really high regard, but they do feel that there is a major underperformance in this squad a squad of very high caliber in their opinion that has been built impressively by the sporting director Matt Hobbs, who is regarded as doing a really good job within the industry, but we can't get away from these results and performances. If there had been a market with more options, then Gary O'Neill may have gone already, possibly after the Southampton victory in the last international break. There was real scrutiny. He then turned it around and bought himself some time by beating Fulham. But the results since then, they've conceded 8 goals in the 2 defeats. And the focus is on him. He's had a stay of execution, but look at the options on the market. The likes of Graham Potter, David Moyes, Massimiliano Allegri, Sergio Conceição, they don't want this job. And then you look beyond to other managers abroad, international football, the Championship. Are they going to do a better job than Gary O'Neill? It's a decision that the board need to make. And perhaps he's surviving based on those lack of alternative candidates. There are plans for the January transfer window, at least 1 centre-back and a winger. There are players returning from injury like Kalajdzic and Traore. They've suffered from the loss of Mosquera. Their financial situation is okay. They are not in financial fair play PSR trouble. There is some money to spend, but it is all self-generated because the ownership's not really putting money in. So it's precarious for Gary O'Neill. But a defeat tonight doesn't guarantee he will be sacked because of what I said there on the market of available candidates.
High stakes for Gary O'Neill and Julen Lopetegui with the match coming up at the top of the hour. David Ornstein, thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.